It seems the Heels Advocate has to reboot this channel and kick things off with the ultimate Roman Reigns critique, where we will be quickly and thoroughly breaking down some of the biggest problems I have with the OTC. So strap in, like this video, subscribe with the bell notification turned on, or Heidenreich will find you. Now with that being said, let us jump right into this Heels Advocate's original presentation. Now since this is the heel reboot, let us get rid of this old overlay and introduce the new and improved overlay for the thousands and thousands of the Heels Advocate fans. Alright, there we go. Much better. Let's go. My biggest problem with Roman Reigns began at the start of this year. While none of it is entirely Roman Reigns' fault, the way he is booked seriously bothers me, and especially with him. His character is currently in the phase of re-establishing himself as a wrestler who no longer needs to depend on his lackey cousins. But honestly, I don't feel like we ever had a proper storyline where that was established. That new dimension of his character was simply just left to be assumed. We just simply had to assume that just because Roman Reigns never apologized to Jey Uso, but Jey Uso told him, hey man, I am no longer going to be your lackey, and he just says, yeet, that suddenly he is now gifted with extra 500 points in power. It doesn't work that way, and it was never established. They briefly hinted at it when Roman Reigns lost to Big Back Bronson Reed when he told the Usos that they need to stop getting involved in his matches, but that seemed like a very interesting storyline that they just suddenly dropped off. So let us start by diving into that problem first. At the start of the 2020s, Roman Reigns finally abandoned that failed big dog gimmick and turned heel, which felt far more natural considering how the fans already viewed and reacted to him. First, he needed to build a standard protective shield every successful heel needs, a circle of lackeys around him that will not allow him to lose no matter what. This time, he didn't have to look too far, because the Usos were apparently his cousins, which I genuinely had no idea about. Now, during that time, however, the damage had already been done for me because I was already on my last legs as a WWE fan, and SummerSlam 2020 was the final nail in the coffin because I knew this was simply a shameless excuse that we could give Roman Reigns to now be even more dominant. I mean, if he was winning all of these matches as a babyface, could you imagine if he was now heel and could use cheap tactics to retain? He will be practically unbeaten for years, which ultimately happened to be the case. And so I left the WWE as soon as I saw him spear The Fiend, and I did not return until Cody Rhodes did. Now, because that absence left my perspective on the full championship run incomplete, I had decided to go back through his entire run as champion and thoroughly try to understand exactly how Roman Reigns maintained his position as the longest reigning world champion of the modern era. And I really have to admit, the opening character establishing era of the Tribal Chief run was simply cinematic. Going back and watching his entire feud with Jey Uso cemented, for me at least, that Roman Reigns understood both the nature of his audience and the perception that he has from them. By him leaning into his status as the company's chosen poster child and the resentment that came with it, the face of the WWE finally became a genuine heel. Because traditionally, if you were the face of the WWE, you were a very, very over babyface. To preserve that status as a truly hateable heel, Roman Reigns used a familiar tactic in virtually every single title defense he ever had. He is moments away from losing, then the lackeys arrive and Roman escapes with the victory. Then for whatever creative reason WWE invents, his opponent suddenly gets sidetracked and removed from Roman Reigns' orbit entirely. The suggestion is that they did not really lose to Roman Reigns while Roman keeps his protected place as champion and the loser moves on with his head held high but at a lower level. This tactic continued over and over again, but the underlying message was always that Roman merely was holding the titles hostage, that he wasn't the true champion, that eventually some real hero babyface would come in and dethrone him, because that is the ultimate job of a heel. He will be as bad as possible so that the hero can be as great as possible. If you have a weak heel, the hero will only be as strong as the level of the heelness of the opposition. But it seemed like that hero was never coming, and eventually it became really unbearable to watch. Let's look at his run after he established himself as a tribal chief, and he also wrestled against Drew McIntyre Survivor Series 2020, where it was a very competitive match, champion versus champion, but suddenly the referee bump happens and Jey Uso comes out to help him out. Low blow happens, let me jump the guillotine, and there we go. The beginning of the repetitive heel tactics. TLC 2020 against Kevin Owens. He was about to win, then the lackeys come in. Royal Rumble 2021. Kevin Owens was basically about to win, then Paul Heyman helps him out. Later that year, he's wrestling against Brock Lesnar. Brock was beating him up, then the Usos come out to help him, and the list goes on and on. For example, this was the funniest one that I saw. Finn Balor. He was about to finish the match with a coup de grace, and literally the top rope explodes. Like, are we joking here? This is next level plot armor. Of course, I understand wrestling and this is the way a heel should be winning, by getting heat, but I knew that it was a lot more to come than what we had already experienced, and me as a disgruntled fan, I was already bearing this BS from the beginning. Whether or not now he is a heel and he can cheat to win was for me way past the point of no return. I understand that these are heel tactics, they generate genuine heat, but in the long run, however, they began to create an unrealistic distance between Roman Reigns and every other contender who might have become a believable WWE champion. The company reached the point where it literally had nobody capable of beating Roman Reigns and taking the titles away from him. Putting the championships on Roman was genuinely long-term a good investment. I totally agree, especially now that he's a heel. The easiest option was to keep Roman Reigns coasting until the rightful adversary finally appeared. Until then, the WWE had to recycle so many of Roman Reigns' earlier feuds to the point where I was really justified for not following the WWE in that period. In 2021, he wrestled Kevin Owens at the Rumble. 2 years later, it's once again Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. He wrestles Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series. A year later, it's Drew McIntyre once again. But this time, we literally had the Usos come in, and then we had Drew McIntyre sing a song with Tyson Fury to embarrass him even further, which is really absurd. The same opponents kept rotating through this cycle until Cody Rhodes finally arrived in the WWE. It is safe to say, even for somebody like me who was not particularly fond of Roman Reigns, that this run positively transformed his career. And it might not have created other stars while he was holding the titles, but fast forward to 2026 and the WWE still hasn't created them. So at least make one of them a megastar while we're at it, if nobody else can step up. And that is what they did. Doubling down on Roman Reigns as a long-term champion, especially as a heel, was still a smart decision because it positioned him to perform to his most important job, building up the biggest babyface of the decade, Cody Rhodes. By the time WrestleMania 39 arrived, the patience surrounding Roman Reigns hijacking the title for so long had disappeared. The fans, myself included, reached a point where there was nothing enjoyable left to anticipate. At that time, I desperately wanted to see Jey Uso undergo a complete metamorphosis, improving his appearance and demeanor until he became somebody capable of surpassing Roman Reigns. I believed that a version of Jey Uso where he is mean, strong, jacked, and maybe has a different look could become a true top star instead of remaining trapped in Roman Reigns' orbit. But that transformation never happened, still has not happened, and probably will never happen because of his subservient lackey complex. That only left Cody Rhodes, a man I had followed throughout his independent run after becoming deeply disinterested in WWE. I remember I literally stopped watching the WWE and I was following New Japan Pro Wrestling during the rise of Kenny Omega back in 2017 onward. I first noticed Cody Rhodes on the indies when he wrestled against Kurt Angle for WCPW. From there, I became hooked on the Being the Elite vlogs from Nick and Matt Jackson, followed by the intrusion of a heel Cody Rhodes into the little friend group that the Young Bucks had with Kenny Omega. From all of that, I watched it all lead to the creation of AEW, and then I saw myself slowly losing my interest in professional wrestling altogether. That journey kept me connected to wrestling outside of WWE when WWE itself had become almost impossible to care about. The lockdown era was for me something that totally ended any of my connections, and I basically walked away from the sport for the foreseeable future. So watching Cody Rhodes return and decisively beat Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell with a torn pectoral muscle made me reconnect with him as a wrestler on an individual level, which I really hadn't had for a very long time. He genuinely became my symbol of hope during a championship run I otherwise had no interest in following. So I basically couldn't wait for the day Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes would cross paths and start their feud against each other. When Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble and earned a WrestleMania 39 main event against Roman Reigns, I felt a small spark of genuine interest in the WWE for the first time in nearly a decade. Fast forwarding to the night of the match, and I really found myself completely invested in a Roman Reigns match, which is something I had never ever experienced before that night. I had it a little bit when he wrestled John Cena as the big dog, but obviously, even at that time, I knew John Cena was only coming back to put over Roman Reigns. But nonetheless, in the match against Roman Reigns, Cody proved himself to be an equal. He showed that Roman's days as champion had finally reached their expiration date. He went toe-to-toe with the champion, and the moment had at last arrived for the great reset the WWE desperately needed to power scale Roman Reigns back to reality, or so I thought. Then came in the usual layers of protection. Solo Sikoa spikes the American Nightmare, Roman follows up, seals the deal with a spear, and retains the title once again. I was genuinely disgusted because in that moment, you are not viewing Roman Reigns' run with the benefit of hindsight. You are living through yet another screwy finish at a WrestleMania against a man who appeared to be the only possible worthy opponent capable of sharing that main event position with him. His coronation should have happened right there. If Cody could not beat Roman, then who could? Every single match seemed to carry some stupid Bloodline rules logic that effectively meant no disqualification, making this kind of heel feel almost impossible to defeat. It was Undertaker at WrestleMania level plot armor on a monthly basis, which always came at everybody else's expense with absolutely no clear payoff in sight. I didn't really mind Roman Reigns defending the title all the way to WrestleMania 39 because I thought to myself, well, if not him, then who? And especially now with him being a heel, he now has a reason to be booed and successful at the same time. But when Cody Rhodes came along, I thought to myself, maybe now is a time for a great equalizer, but I was unfortunately very wrong. So who was supposed to benefit from this? Would Roman Reigns holding the championship for one more year truly make the eventual loss any bigger? I did not think so. And everything that followed it proved it. The Raw after WrestleMania 39 was the moment I became convinced I was done with the WWE forever, and I meant it. Cody Rhodes came out and complained that he had Roman Reigns beaten before Solo Sikoa cost him the match. He demanded a rematch that same night on Monday Night Raw, which was obviously rejected. Instead, the WWE announced a tag team match with a surprise Brock Lesnar arriving to help Cody Rhodes out. I was genuinely excited for it. To me, this was a promising sign that Roman's empire was rapidly deteriorating and that the WWE was not ignoring the possibility of ending Roman's reign very soon. As prepared and invested as ever, I stayed completely glued to the screen, waiting for Roman to receive the beating that would give me at least some kind of relief. But what followed instead genuinely made me shut my laptop so hard it busted up my screen. Brock Lesnar suddenly F5's Cody Rhodes, and for me that was it. I closed my laptop really hard and I thought to myself, well, I guess I will see you guys next year. because that was the only time something else could potentially happen, and of course, I was once again right. So I basically followed the WWE through headlines. And whenever I read headlines about what was happening in WWE and the feud Cody was having, I kept thinking, why is this pointless sidetracking even happening? What was the purpose? Why is Cody wrestling Brock for 3 matches? At that point, I had no hope left at all. I saw that Roman Reigns was wrestling Jey Uso, so I kinda had some kind of interest for that SummerSlam match, but not enough for me to sit down and watch it, so I tried to keep myself notified through headlines once again. But once again, to nobody's surprise, out comes a surprise mystery lackey helping Roman Reigns out, and I really sat there laughing my face off because this was actually becoming a joke. But at least we had Jey Uso pinning Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, which gave me a pop in a small sense, but I knew it was just a fleeting effort. It was just a little consolation prize for all of the abuse and dominance that was yet to follow afterwards. It's like saying, here is a little crumb while Roman Reigns goes to make a big cake. But hey, Jey Uso became the first guy to pin Roman Reigns in 1,294 days, and I thought to myself, well, hey, it is at least better than nothing. So I thought to myself, hey, maybe this is the time I completely stop following, even if it is through these headlines, because the WWE is not going to give me what I want, and seeing Jey Uso at least get that pin to then lose afterwards at SummerSlam was really as good as things were going to get for me. And I thought to myself, maybe this is not an art form, a performance, an entertainment form for me anymore. Feeling deeply disenfranchised, I went back to watch older content from the WWE, older matches, documentaries, because I still love the business. But I was not going to lie, I became the guy that stopped watching as soon as Daniel Bryan started to rise and Roman Reigns started to rise. And for me, that was a time I completely left the WWE, and it felt like that was once again happening. And the feeling of interest that I had at WrestleMania 39 was something that would never, ever happen again. That was until 2024 kicks off with The Rock asking whether or not he should sit at the head of the table, triggered almost a primal awakening inside of the Heels Advocate. Words cannot describe the excitement that I felt when his music hit. It was almost as if I was transported back to when he returned to basically feud with John Cena from 2010 to 11, which made me remember the time that he beat John Cena at WrestleMania, which gave me a lot of hope that he could do the same thing against Roman Reigns. So maybe the Great One was going to be the one delivering us the great reset the WWE desperately needed. Because if it can't be a guy from the inside, maybe a big time legend could be doing it from the outside. The fans were losing their minds for it, and I could not wait to see what happened next. Then Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble again. I saw the headlines and I thought, great, this is Rock versus Cena all over again. And what I meant is, the same way Cena and Rock wrestled at WrestleMania 27 and Once in a Lifetime, which happened to have a rematch the following year, it looked like Cody Rhodes was getting his rematch the following year, which obviously meant that he was going to beat Roman Reigns, and that is not the way that I want Cody Rhodes to win. I don't want it to be already a foregone conclusion or really easily guessable. I want it to be mysterious. I want it to be ambiguous. I don't want to know if Roman Reigns is going to lose to Cody Rhodes. Now that he beat him at WrestleMania 39 and they're going to have a rematch at 40, of course he's going to lose. And that really takes away a lot of the intrigue and a lot of the fun, because then it starts to mean less and less. But when Cody Rhodes came out and he surrendered his main event to The Rock, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was genuinely grinning like an evil Light Yagami at that situation, because I know it was wrong, but I simply just didn't give a damn. If you wanted to get your shot back, you had 12 months to do it. You don't get to ruin a legend's return just because you sat around and wanted to become a freaking tag champion. Finally, a real superstar was here to show everyone how it was done, and I would have had no problems with Rock beating Roman at WrestleMania 40 and then losing the following year at 41. I only just needed to see Roman eat a clean pin once, then have The Rock raise those titles into the air like the absolute icon that he is. I had lost faith in every other contender for far too long, so perhaps an outsider this beloved was exactly the opponent Roman Reigns needed to bring this historic title run to an end. Then I started looking around and wondering what would happen to The Rock had he taken the match, and a pit started to form in my stomach. Surely this would not become another screwy situation that somehow benefited Roman Reigns, yet that is exactly what happened. The Monday Night Raw where Cody Rhodes surrendered his WrestleMania match became the fuel for the growing anti-Rock sentiment, despite The Rock really doing nothing to deserve it. Well, heel, you're wrong, because The Rock, he took away Cody Rhodes' main event spot and he won the Royal Rumble, and he is abusing his powers as a boss in TKO over his workers. That is not good. To that, in kayfabe at least, I have to say, Cody Rhodes could have gotten his freaking shot earlier than that. I just didn't care at all. I was just over Cody Rhodes. Realizing that the Rock vs. Roman Reigns match was basically hijacked and was suffering from this Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 syndrome, my hopes were completely crushed. Behind all of this, however, was a larger backstabbing game that was being played between The Rock and Triple H. Triple H was simply not positioning The Rock to even succeed in this notion. The WWE knew that The Rock wanted to return at WrestleMania 39, but he couldn't because of medical reasons, so when he re-entered the picture on the road to WrestleMania 40, the company knew about those plans before Cody Rhodes won the Rumble, yet they still made Cody win the Rumble. They understood what The Rock wanted, they knew his availability, and they still went ahead with Cody's victory. It was simply laughable. So what now? The dynamic that existed before Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble had been shattered. No longer was this about The Rock's return and having a match against Roman Reigns in one of the biggest Mania main events of all time. Instead, it became a Daniel Bryan forced into the main event situation all over again, and I was just so over it. In the middle of all of the chaos, one thing became undeniable. I was once again paying attention. Maybe Roman Reigns wasn't directly responsible, but at least he was playing the correct role. He was the heel, and I wanted to see him get beaten. Whether or not my reasons were shoot or kayfabe, I was just sick of the WWE under Roman Reigns. So when The Rock slapped the taste out of that crybaby's mouth, I felt a surge of happiness I could barely explain. Finally, there was somebody real I could support. With The Rock now a boss in TKO, I no longer cared whether he was presented as a babyface or a heel. If you can get the job done, Rock, go get it done. That is all I cared about. Because somebody needed to receive a disastrous beating. Cody or Roman, I did not care. Somebody had to bleed, and somebody did. The Rock debuted as final boss character, and without exaggeration, this man returned to the WWE in the greatest run of his entire career. And all of this happened after he turned 50 years old. At that time, I knew I was witnessing history, and the moment he ambushed Cody Rhodes backstage and he made him bleed, I knew I was witnessing history. It became so good that I genuinely only cared about night 1 of WrestleMania 40. I just needed to see The Rock beat down Cody Rhodes for disappointing me at 39. And for wasting an entire year without pursuing a rematch. That detour felt completely backward. How do you get screwed at WrestleMania 39, settle an unexplained feud with Lesnar, and then decide, you know what, maybe it is time for me to become a tag champion with Jey Uso? Just for that, he needed an entire can of whoop ass all over the SmackDown hotel. Watching Roman Reigns and The Rock beat down on Cody Rhodes week after week was just pure cinema. All I needed now was for Rock to pin Cody Rhodes and carry on with his life. What happened afterwards, I did not care about, because this company clearly did not know what was good for business, and the moment the Great One dropped the people's elbow on Mama Rhodes' son, that was it for me. I did not care at all, because obviously night 2 was going to be the night Roman Reigns was obviously going to lose. And wouldn't you know it, night 2 went the way we all expected it to. You win one, I win one, we're all happy formula that Triple H has been rinsing and repeating ever since he got control of creative, which has, for me, ruined the WWE. So how about we fast forward to the finish and let's see how Cody Rhodes will get the job done. And I will not lie, I knew that the finish the story movement was very powerful and over, but that ending to that match, I am unbiased here, was the greatest ending to any WrestleMania main event in history, and I will acknowledge that. What made my eyes roll, however, was the ending stage of the match, where we basically had Roman Reigns having to decide between giving a chair shot to Seth Rollins or giving a chair shot to Cody Rhodes. Look, once again, we're creating another layer of an excuse that Roman Reigns could use to explain why he lost. After all of these years, couldn't we just make that guy lose clean for once, damn it? Even after all of this screwy BS, Cody Rhodes still couldn't get a clean victory. It is just insane. The underlying message in that scene was that had Roman Reigns attacked Cody Rhodes, then he wouldn't have lost, which really ruins the believability of the victory. It's the same thing they did at WrestleMania 42 between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, where CM Punk was about to defeat Roman Reigns, but his body gave out, giving Roman Reigns the opening, giving him the spear, giving him the victory. Are you kidding me? Just lose, man. So that annoying practice really rubs me the wrong way. It is not a way to settle any major high-profile feud. The stakes are high, which means the winner or loser really need to suffer the consequences. There is no shame in losing, just lose clean. After WrestleMania 40, the final boss hinted that he would eventually return for Cody Rhodes. I was simply more excited for that match than anything involving Roman. Rock and Cody now had a genuine, compelling, legitimate storyline, and it could eventually lead to The Rock showing Roman Reigns how the job should have been done, which was exactly what I wanted to see. But The Rock made it clear that this would not happen anytime soon, at least not until the next WrestleMania season, so my attention therefore shifted back to Roman Reigns, who suddenly just vanished. What was this? Is this King Ragnar abandoning his kingdom after failing to conquer Paris? It just rubbed me the wrong way. You cannot lose in that fashion and then simply refuse to appear after you were champion for that many years. It was just laughable. Roman Reigns really was off of TV as if he got squashed and humiliated beyond recovery. That decision completely set Cody Rhodes up to fail, and guess what? He failed as a champion. Just look at the years he was champion and the feuds he had. In that year alone, he had feuds against who? Kevin Owens and AJ Styles? The WWE clearly had no meaningful plan for Cody. And this is the problem. Before Roman Reigns could finally eat a pin, Roman first had to drain the entire roster of anything capable of topping their feud. I'm talking about Roman and Cody. So, had the WWE simply allowed Cody Rhodes to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39, the two could have had settled their differences at SummerSlam by the time WrestleMania 40 arrived, and everybody could have moved on. Key phrase here is moved on. I said this in 2023. It is now 2026, 3 years later, and I am still talking about the WWE refusing to move on from these two. That is my biggest problem with Roman Reigns. The WWE then create a fake bloodline around Solo Sikoa, and I was fairly fond of the storyline. It had a lot of weight, the bloodline still was relevant at that time, so I did not really mind seeing Solo Sikoa receive some genuine character development after being mute this entire time. When Solo challenged Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, I honestly wanted Solo to win because it would finally break down this barrier around the Undisputed Championship that carries the idea that the title is something so impossible for anybody else other than Roman or Cody to touch. So if Solo Sikoa can go out there and beat him, now we can finally greatly reset the WWE roster and power scaling, and now everybody can be competitive, meaning everybody can get to be exciting. Whether it was Cody or Roman Reigns holding the championship in an iron grip made no difference to me. The roster simply needed a threat the audience could believe in. Solo had his own lackeys and had screwed Cody at WrestleMania 39, so this could have become a legitimate spin-off feud worthwhile. But of course, just as Jey Uso is genetically inferior and mentally subservient, Solo Sikoa suffered the same exact fate as his older brother. He simply could never possibly achieve anything lasting of any type of success while Roman Reigns was still alive. Roman literally abandons his family, then returns furious at the enforcer who had to step up because he chose to step down, and he costs Solo Sikoa the title match and leaves him sitting on his butt crying like a toddler. And I cannot lie, the visual was hilarious. Maybe it was a good thing that Teletubby never won the gold. But then I looked at Roman Reigns' face. This guy was smiling and grinning. What are you smiling about, big dog? This man is holding your championship and you're helping him out. It's really dumb. But I suppose Roman believes he did not really lose, and chasing Cody Rhodes would just only make him look mad goofy, and he ain't doing all that beta crap. The final nail in the coffin came when Roman Reigns decided to team with Cody Rhodes at Bad Blood. I simply could not believe my eyes. Where were these two going to end up apart from going away from one another? They seemingly were planning to go their own separate ways, which they did. And this was completely unacceptable. We were now firmly inside the Triple H era where 50-50 booking and a random attacker dragging one of the participants away from the feud had become the standard formula. Most storylines no longer received proper endings, and this was the one rivalry that desperately needed a proper ending. The longer the WWE refused to settle the trilogy, the longer every other wrestler remained locked outside of the real main event picture. As long as the company refused to choose a definitive winner between Roman and Cody, nobody would eventually beat either man, which could allow them to rise above them. So now we're dealing with a literal glass ceiling that everybody was forced to live under. Now, the moment I saw Roman Reigns be friendly with Cody Rhodes and help out Cody and turn on Solo Sikoa, I thought to myself, I will see y'all at the road to WrestleMania, because I already knew nothing was going to happen from August up until December, because it usually never happens, especially nowadays when the Survivor Series PLE has turned into a gimmick match. Back in the day, Survivor Series would host real legitimate matches that had real meaning, but nowadays, after SummerSlam, we gotta sit through 4 months of BS. But in that time period, something in my heart told me that maybe I should watch Bad Blood. What if The Rock comes back? And I just could not believe it. The Rock actually returned. And all of my fears that I had instantly disappeared. The Rock is back, and he was here to save the day. The Rock was here to also destroy this upper level separation that protected Roman and Cody from everybody else. Maybe finally the machinery of a genuine reset had begun moving. And it felt like a clear warning shot at Roman Reigns for choosing to side with the enemy. When The Rock saw Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes team up, that is exactly the moment Roman Reigns became a great target for the Great One. And this was possibly the seeds for their potential match later down the line. When the WWE announced that The Rock would be on Raw on Netflix 1, I sat glued to my screen. The time had finally arrived for me to get what I desperately wanted. But somehow, the final boss was nowhere to be found, and instead, Dwayne Johnson came out kissing Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes' behinds. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, at this point, being a WWE fan is simply another form of Stockholm Syndrome. I came to accept that reality, but still, I was flabbergasted. Why would they just go out there and ruin everything? Had it not come out, it would have been way better. Then The Rock comes out and he says that him and Cody have become good friends over the course after WrestleMania. And when was that established? The last time we saw them, The Rock was cutting promos on his Instagram, clowning on Cody Rhodes' goofy dog Pharaoh, calling him shithead.
You, and also your goofy ass dog Pharaoh? That's his name? Pharaoh.
So when did they exactly become friends? I just did not understand it one bit. The only explanation was that The Rock seemingly was not going to be back in the WWE and he just was going to go back to Hollywood, and I accepted that. And I completely forgot about The Rock, and I did not think about The Rock anymore. And the moment Raw Netflix 1 ended, my resentment towards Cody Rhodes for stealing The Rock's WrestleMania match only grew stronger, and at that point, I just wanted Roman Reigns to take his titles back and just put an end to this fake freaking feud. Because that is all this was. It was a fake feud. 50-50 booking, and we're not gonna get a trilogy, and we both have to move on and pretend that we are both number ones. I don't like that one bit. But of course, we're not going to get a definitive answer and a definitive winner because the WWE has now 2 top stars. Oh yeah, we're going to have to rinse that until it's dry. And so this will be so catastrophic, right, for the WWE if either of them were to lose, so that the basic course of action is we're just going to separate them 2 and we're going to allow them to live in their own fantasy lands without acknowledging either of their existences. But then again, it was the year of 2025 and this was John Cena's final year, and that was something that I wanted to focus on. I couldn't care less about Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes in that year. But then I literally saw John Cena lose the Royal Rumble to Jey Uso. I mean, at that point, I was really convinced that Triple H had basically wiretapped my house and listened to everything that I did not want to see happen. Because everything I didn't want to see happen happened. So I was starting to maybe think I am the problem. And I realized I'm not the problem, and that Triple H is a problem that is so horrible at booking these shows that I just seemingly started to watch the shows for comedic purposes. And by this stage, the WWE had become a game of finding new ways to keep its top stars away from one another, while rinsing the audience for as much money as possible, stalling every ounce of momentum whatever wrestler has, while also wasting everybody else's precious time. The WWE had taken a clear nosedive compared to the year before, because now the TKO higher-ups had to call The Rock for basically helping out with ticket sales for the Elimination Chamber. And in this time period, The Rock once again came out, but this time around, he came out to announce the new location for WrestleMania 42 that in the end, obviously, was not going to be in New Orleans. It ended up being in Las Vegas again, so that didn't matter. And then he had this weird little appearance at NXT, and it just felt like the final boss was not there again. It was just Dwayne The Rock Johnson again. But we would shortly find ourselves in a position where The Rock finally stood toe-to-toe, face-to-face with Cody, and I assume this had to be a setup for their WrestleMania 41 match. Man, how wrong was I? Sell me your soul? What was this, Final Fantasy? Triple H and TKO's obsession with stalling and milking everything had even infected the only organic growth the WWE had ever seen, with the final boss becoming a reality. Now even the final boss was starting to become rinsed and commercialized, and this was something I just did not want to see happen. So the stage was set at the Elimination Chamber. Will Cody Rhodes sell his soul or not? And the answer we got that night was groundbreaking. John Cena turns heel and he joins with The Rock. And for a moment, I really thought that I was just tripping. I was just so convinced that the WWE was cooking greatly all along, and that I just simply had to put my trust in Triple H because everything will be a-okay. I was more excited than ever. I was thinking to myself, maybe we're gonna get The Rock and John Cena teaming up against Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at night 1, followed by Rock versus Roman for the World Heavyweight Championship at night 2, while John Cena and Cody Rhodes go at it for the Undisputed Championship. My imagination was just running wild, and I just could not have been happier. But of course, I don't need to remind you guys how horribly everything turned out, with Travis Scott coming in, the failed heel run, The Rock never showing up, Roman Reigns just losing the entire year. It just felt like a very dark period. So I did the only thing that I could. I set my sights towards SummerSlam 2025, where Cody would regain the title and maybe then The Rock would come out. But to all of our surprise, it was Brock Lesnar that would return, and I thought to myself, are you kidding me, bro? Where are we going to go? This is just horrendous. Everything is now breaking apart. Nothing is cohesive. Also, during this period, the WWE attempted this little strange experiment with Roman Reigns where they wanted him to take the backseat, let Jey Uso main event night 1, let Cody Rhodes main event night 2, and he's gonna be this backseat character because he put in a lot of work as the tribal chief and a 4-year-long undefeated champion. The company wanted to signal that Roman Reigns was no longer the center of everything, but it could not actually commit to the idea because obviously the lackey Uso could never get one over on Big Uso, right? Roman Reigns has 11-12 freaking main events at WrestleMania, and he can't even give his little Uso, his little bro, night 1 main event. No, not even that. Not even that can little Uso get. No. Because when Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble, Michael Cole was saying main event Jey Uso is going to main event WrestleMania. But of course, we knew how that turned out, and lackey Uso had to open up night 1 for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then after losing to Seth Rollins, it basically became a little game of regaining favor with the Usos, and Roman Reigns tried to slither his way back into Jey's life. And that was just pretty weird to see because they didn't really do anything to make up. Leaving 2025 SummerSlam felt horrible. I expected The Rock to return, he didn't. Roman Reigns was in a random tag match to open up SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar attacks John Cena, we don't know why, for about 6 weeks. That was also weird. And Cody Rhodes was now going into a feud with Drew McIntyre, and everything was just simply more boring than ever before. And just like a year previous to 2025 after SummerSlam, you can basically tune out of the WWE up until the Royal Rumble, and that is exactly what happened. Even though I followed along, everything was just filler BS until the 2026 Royal Rumble happened, and finally Roman Reigns was going to go out there, win it, and challenge Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship, and they will settle the score so that for Mania 43 in Saudi, The Rock and Roman Reigns can have their main event legendary match, and maybe The Rock will retire forever now. But of course, my first mistake was assuming the WWE would make a move without milking the idea completely dry. Suddenly, Cody Rhodes lost the championship to a man he spent 5 straight months beating up, just in time for Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble and not be able to pick Cody Rhodes for his WrestleMania match. The moment Roman Reigns picks his match against CM Punk, suddenly Cody Rhodes wins the title back. How amazingly coincidental is that? And of course, following the same trend after WrestleMania 40, each new year was a new low, and WrestleMania 42 was truly a catastrophic event of gigantic proportions, and we all remember what happened. The whole Pat McAfee ordeal, McAfee and CM Punk were basically made to go out there and announce actual literal discounts for each night. The show really going out there and only barely selling off 50,000 tickets each, when the year previous we had 65,000 easily sold out. And at this point, I am really lost with the WWE. And I would say the best part of WrestleMania 42 was the fact it ended. Alright, and okay, I'll be honest, on an objective level, the match that Roman Reigns had with CM Punk was a pretty good match, but the story going into it was horrendous, and the story afterwards was even worse because there was no story. So what are we working with? In the build-up, we had CM Punk insulting Roman Reigns' dead father, for which he later apologized, so there goes that tension. And then CM Punk had also made endless comments about how Jey Uso was merely a lackey, a secondary figure, go get me my coffee, go do his dirty work. He knew what he was doing to Jey Uso, so I thought maybe that was going to plant a seed that would pay off at WrestleMania, where Jey finally turns on Roman Reigns and forces him to apologize. But of course, that did not happen either, and I had forgotten that he was Little Uso, so of course he's not going to do any of that. Which brings us right here today. Chapter 8. No End in Sight. I realize I covered a lot of bad booking from Triple H's side, and this doesn't necessarily have a critique towards Roman Reigns on a performer level, but it really goes to show that it can impact somebody like me's interest in somebody like Roman Reigns holding the World Heavyweight Championship. Because now we have also reached a point where the WWE has firmly removed Cody Rhodes away from the title picture, just as Roman Reigns has been removed last year in 2025. So the night after WrestleMania 42, I thought that poorly built storylines that went into WrestleMania 42 could really continue and develop and get a deeper layer. Right now we can maybe go into Backlash and have a rematch between CM Punk and Roman Reigns where the Usos are going to get involved. Maybe we're going to get Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes to finish their freaking feud, and maybe that can finally step up and elevate themselves. But no, we literally got none of that. Instead, Randy Orton, after punting Cody Rhodes, he disappears for 4 months. CM Punk, same thing. These guys lose at WrestleMania and they disappear. And now we're in a position where I am not interested in Roman Reigns or CM Punk or Cody Rhodes at all. And to make matters worse, before we would even know in hindsight that Randy and CM Punk would disappear for all that time, Cody Rhodes literally comes out on the Raw after WrestleMania, a brand where he basically has no business being on, and randomly decides to hand the loser CM Punk a title shot instead of focusing on the winner, the actual winner, Roman Reigns. The man Cody Rhodes had historically centered his entire career's mission around was once again ignored. Triple H was pulling the same stunt over and over again, and I was sick of it. And this stunt is basically having everybody be one level below Roman Reigns. Right? It's not about making Roman Reigns better than everybody else, but it's making everybody else worse than Roman Reigns so that he could look better. And I was just so sick of it. Nonetheless, Randy Orton, CM Punk, they both go on vacation, and now we're left with nothing. No feuds for Roman Reigns, no feuds for Cody Rhodes. And now, how could Roman's feuds ever become more important than Cody's? How could Roman's feuds even be important or interesting at all? Roman Reigns literally took the secondary title from CM Punk, then declared himself number one while Cody Rhodes was still standing over there. So on what premise does this make any logical sense? They never completed the trilogy, so where does this confidence from Roman Reigns come from, especially after explicitly saying at the Survivor Series 2025 promo that Cody Rhodes literally stood in his way in life? Are you kidding me? You say he stands in your way in life, but you do nothing about it. What happened to that? This is my biggest problem with Roman Reigns. He does not naturally separate himself through incredible hard work or elite ring work or legendary segments from the competition. No, instead, he has the WWE simply make everybody else around him look terrible so that he by proxy will look better than him. And I guess the only real interesting guy that was on the main roster that hadn't fought either of them was Jacob Fatu. And Jacob Fatu was a full-time SmackDown wrestler who repeatedly challenged Cody Rhodes and was represented as a fresh, formidable opponent that we could do a lot of good with, especially after their match at Saturday night's main event against Cody Rhodes. Jacob was explosive, he carried a new aura, and felt unlike anybody else that was in the WWE at the time. He was a fresh face, so he wasn't the same old guy that we were used to. But what does WWE do? Instead of giving Cody Rhodes that Jacob Fatu storyline, which could have really been excellent for Cody Rhodes because they already had prior history, particularly if Jacob Fatu won the title off of Cody Rhodes and became Undisputed Champion, and then went ahead and faced Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. That would make a lot more sense. But instead, the WWE randomly decides that, oh yeah, this guy that we've been building up for Cody for the last 2 years on SmackDown, we're going to send him over to Monday Night Raw and we're going to have him challenge Roman Reigns. Are you kidding me? Cody Rhodes loses a fresh challenger while Roman Reigns absorbs another valuable story? It doesn't work like that, and I really hate it. Once again, the WWE proves my point. Every single good idea gets saved for Roman Reigns, and it is also why Cody was kept on SmackDown and Roman Reigns went to Raw while being a SmackDown guy for the last entire decade. But what was the reason the WWE gave for putting Jacob with Roman? Well, the storyline was that Jacob said he wanted to provide a better life for his family and that was why he was coming after Roman Reigns. But why was Roman Reigns the only guy capable of providing that? Are you telling me that Jacob Fatu never considered his family's future while challenging and fighting Cody Rhodes? So it makes absolutely no sense. That is WWE's central problem right now. Especially with Roman Reigns as champion, nothing needs to make sense as long as Roman Reigns can walk into the ring, give his light skin stare, move his jaw, have the high BMI dissatisfied housewives thirst over him and say, "Acknowledge me," and have some random jabroni come out and interrupt him. Because, of course, Roman Reigns is not going to go out there and cut a legitimate promo because, come on, man. That's mad goofy. He ain't doing all that. Right? Come on, man. Look. I know. I am being extremely harsh, and I really don't want to come out here and understate Roman Reigns' importance in occupying the top dollar position because honestly, had it not been Roman Reigns, it would have been nobody else, and that is not a good position to be in either. The company needs a leader and a face, but the problem is accepting that fact, then pretending Roman Reigns is that person that was the missing piece in the WWE while he's literally a missing guy on week-to-week television programming. And the situation has become so severe where he's just not showing up to work that no proper new storylines can be even built. Obafemi, after he beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, he calls out Roman Reigns. On the post-show, Roman Reigns says, "I will see you during the summer." I'm looking forward to see that match. Then, on Monday Night Raw, the following night, Obafemi simply goes out there and he accepts that both champions are basically preoccupied and he will not be having a chance to go after either Roman or Cody. Now, what kind of a domesticated guard dog behavior is that? If Obafemi was truly the next big thing, the WWE would not wait before putting him up against Roman Reigns. And so there was once again another repeated violation. We're doing it once again, and now we're doing it to Obafemi. Okay, look, the road to WrestleMania was terrible, but that doesn't mean that the aftermath has to be bad either. Now we have a real opportunity to make the fallout from WrestleMania compelling, but instead, Obafemi goes out there and he creates the Obafemi Open Challenge as if he is some established figure that can do that. While Roman Reigns goes out there and destroys the aura and momentum that Jacob Fatu spent years building on SmackDown, and once again, everybody has to look worse so that Roman can look better, even from Triple H's perspective here. What purpose does Jacob Fatu serve as a third henchman? If Roman Reigns is now a babyface and not a tyrant but a loyal, loving family member, why add Jacob Fatu into the mix? In hindsight, of course, Roman Reigns didn't go out there and really demand Jacob Fatu to join and acknowledge him. It was Jacob Fatu going out there to challenge Roman Reigns, which obviously, like I said, it didn't make sense. He just could have went after Cody Rhodes and that would have been just fine. But instead, we have seen what has become of Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns, and it ruined everything. Jacob Fatu loses twice to Roman and is now another lackey, while Roman Reigns goes on and continues to win matches without the Bloodline's involvement. So why does he need 3 people to be background characters? Why does he even need them? These 3 individuals, Jay, Jimmy, and Jacob, they could legitimately pursue their own separate paths. Now all 3 of these guys are trapped on a leash, unable to move for themselves. Their sole purpose is to basically move and do stuff when Roman Reigns is not on TV, right? Their purpose is to remind the audience that, hey, Roman is not here. He's too busy to show up to work, but we are here and we will do his little bidding. That's it. They literally fill Roman Reigns' shoes when he isn't on TV. Then they fade into the background to perform obscure tasks when he does come back to work. So what is the point in all of this? Literally nothing. Okay, we know what happened to Jacob Fatu, but what happened to Obafemi? Well, Obafemi, he literally won the King of the Ring and he doesn't decide to pick a match at SummerSlam. He doesn't pick Roman Reigns for his SummerSlam title match. This is just another level of just ludicrous. And I'm not even surprised. Of course he didn't pick. Like I said, the WWE must first milk everything dry before making any move against Roman Reigns. But when it is a decision in favor of Roman Reigns, the company has no problem abruptly destroying somebody else's momentum like Jacob Fatu. Isn't that interesting? Instead of having Obafemi go out there and go over on Roman Reigns, we're just going to give the opportunity to Seth Rollins, the man that has been on a losing streak for the last year and who was also eliminated in the very first bracket of the same tournament that Obafemi won. Why? Because Roman Reigns once held a guillotine for far too long at the Royal Rumble 2022 when he faced off against Seth Rollins, and that caused him to get DQ'd, right? He DQ'd himself, but he retained the championship, and so therefore he never officially defeated Seth Rollins. Therefore, Seth Rollins has always defeated Roman Reigns. That was a lie that was being told to us, when in reality, we literally had Roman Reigns beat Seth Rollins on a random episode of Monday Night Raw in 2019. So we're just really trying to make something out of nothing. They really have no legs to stand on. They are really going overboard with stalling and creating filler and really not doing something that is worthwhile. And all this bullcrap, all this nonsense is exactly why half of the arena at SummerSlam was completely empty. That is why. These decisions are precisely what continue to ruin the WWE, so much so that in the build-up to WrestleMania, they have to bring actual freaking outsiders in to go on the mic and make it a part of the storyline how bad things are and how slow tickets are moving. Look, the WWE is not a sport. It isn't real competition. It is supposed to be a narrative-driven soap opera built around an athletic performance. Without narrative or continuity, names alone mean nothing, regardless of their history. Because if that was enough, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton should have main evented night 2 of WrestleMania 42, but it didn't. Because without narrative, nothing matters. And when the WWE solely relies on nostalgia, such as reuniting the Bloodline when nobody needs it, especially Roman Reigns now that he's babyface, or going back to do Rollins versus Roman Reigns again, it completely loses the bigger plot. Then, once Roman Reigns finishes these random non-canon spin-off feuds designed to just basically burn time, Cody Rhodes, Mr. Iron Fist, the WWE Undisputed Champion, suddenly gets rolled up by Sami Zayn at Night of Champions. How convenient. Right? Because it possibly couldn't be Roman Reigns who got rolled up. No. It has to be, of course, Cody Rhodes. To make the situation even more convenient for Roman and further devalue Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, the WWE then decides that Cody Rhodes randomly gets attacked on the Raw following Night of Champions just before his rematch against Sami Zayn that he was surely going to win. Good old Gunther comes out and he throws a few injuries at Cody Rhodes to keep him out of the match. Then perfectly on cue, the man that was basically about to defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42 before collapsing and losing to Roman Reigns reappears, Mr. Phil Brooks, CM Punk. He swoops in and he wins the championship. Great, now the guy that Roman Reigns just beat is the other champion, which makes the other champion under Roman Reigns. Just the way it was always supposed to be, right? It is insane. Surely the WWE is not really going to make CM Punk the champion because he just lost to Roman Reigns. They just don't want that as their other champion, right? Surely Cody Rhodes will regain his title back at SummerSlam, then finally pursue Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel? No, of course not. Why would you think that? Nothing ever happens. That would require Roman to acknowledge the man who beat him. So what do? Let's bring back Randy Orton, sidetrack Cody Rhodes, have him lose at SummerSlam against CM Punk, and then let's have CM Punk feud with Kevin Owens. Oh my god. What's the point of watching SmackDown anymore? What's the point? If it's just going to be all the people Roman Reigns defeated going at one another, it is just not enticing to watch at all. And all of this really explains why the WWE needs a complete reset and why The Rock needs to return. And I am genuinely convinced that he is the only person capable that can fix this. And me believing that just shows how powerful his WrestleMania 40 run was. One great season still has me treating him like the solution to everything. And if he could do it then, he can do it again. But for us to believe that, we then have to accept that we're going to ignore all the nonsensical work he did after. Whether it is selling the soul, or acknowledging Roman Reigns, or acknowledging Cody Rhodes on Raw Netflix 1. We have to forego those things, forget about it, and reintroduce the final boss as this ass-kicking machine. But maybe at this point, even The Rock is pulled into this WWE, let's milk whatever successful thing we have dry thing, and maybe even the final boss is not the final boss any longer. Now, the real reason I keep returning to The Rock is simple. Since 2020, he is the only person to share and even surpass Roman Reigns' importance inside a storyline where Roman Reigns was not automatically selected as the undisputed number one. This is why bringing The Rock back to beat Roman Reigns matters. The Rock exists outside of the WWE's power scaling, meaning the company can present him at any level. Nobody else really has that kind of solution. Everybody else in the WWE, in some way, shape, or form, has already competed against the Roman Reigns, so we know their level. Let's look at Jey Uso, he's a lackey. Drew McIntyre, crybaby. Jacob Fatu, domesticated. Cody Rhodes, avoided. Seth Rollins, already taken care of. Obafemi, we'll save that for WrestleMania sometime later. Come on. None of that makes sense right now. None of those people make sense right now. So we have now entered what is historically the worst stretch of the WWE's calendar year, from August up until December. And I am now less interested in professional wrestling than I have ever been. And if it wasn't for this channel, if I were not the heel, I would have stopped caring about this completely. The WWE loses fans so much on a year-to-year basis that if it wasn't for this entire channel, I would have been one of them. And it is because of practices like this. Of course, there is no denying that the WWE currently has a lot of talented names, but the problem isn't the names. The problem is how they utilize those names. They have no idea how to create compelling storylines, and it cannot be built around truly anything meaningful, while Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes still have not settled the score. Because while Roman Reigns is out there crowning himself OTC, Tribal Chief 1, the face of the place, we also have Cody Rhodes saying the same thing. I'm quarterback 1, he is TC 1, I'm the face, and it just doesn't make any sense anymore. Because historically speaking, wrestling has settled these questions and established a clear hierarchy from the beginning. The audience knew who had won, who stood above whom, and when a rivalry reached its natural conclusion, we knew who was the real number one. And it's been so long now, and we still don't know between these two. For example, Stone Cold defeated The Rock at WrestleMania 15, and then he defeated him again at 17. That was it. Austin was a true number one of that era. Yes, of course, The Rock had greater longevity and achieved more after Austin retired, but the WWE only let The Rock defeat Austin at WrestleMania when Austin was retiring, making that victory not really mean anything other than a consolation prize. And I really don't want them to rematch when either of them are going to retire. It has to happen when it still matters. And that is why the WWE is also refusing to pull the trigger on Obafemi, because Obafemi has to beat Roman Reigns, but he can't beat Roman Reigns because obviously Roman and Cody haven't settled their differences yet. And that is really sad. Everybody else is being held back because of Roman Reigns. That is the underlying truth. No matter what you say, it is just because of that. Because he barely shows up, there are not enough opportunities for him to wrestle enough for him to be even in a position to clearly lose and allow somebody else to move on. That is the problem. And the way the WWE is structured, they cannot afford Roman Reigns to lose anywhere that is not important. And now that Roman might finally lose to somebody other than Cody Rhodes, the WWE is making the fans wait. Even though there is no need for us to wait. Even though this exact match was teased right immediately after WrestleMania, especially after Obafemi won the King of the Ring and he is clearly in line for a title shot. And that is why I am so done with the WWE. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever changes. This is not a shoot critique of Roman Reigns in of himself. It is a critique of the many terrible practices around Roman Reigns that ruin this incredible form of entertainment. Despite every problem with Roman Reigns that I have already explained, at least something happens around him. Cody Rhodes, by comparison, he has been booked in countless feuds where random people wander in and out, either costing him a match or draining all momentum in his storylines. With Roman Reigns, it is pretty much isolated. It's him and his opponent. So much so that the Bloodline doesn't even have any presence with him against his opponents, which is really interesting to see, but also weird because why are they even there then? At least LA Knight versus Roman Reigns should remain between these two men, but celebrating that as if it is something great is really sad. And it shows how low that we have gotten with Roman Reigns. We are celebrating the fact that the main guy in the WWE has clean finished matches. It's like going to the toilet and being surprised water comes out when you flush. It is really that sad. And what really bothers me as well is that the WWE must really sit here and rely on dried out, burned out characters like LA Knight to pull any kind of emotion from the audience. Fans, me included, wanted LA Knight to become champion for so long, become Money in the Bank winner, and he has gotten nothing. He has lost over and over and over again to the point where he has lost all his momentum. The WWE really waited until the fan demand cooled down, his momentum faded, and the possibility of him being a challenger was just out of the question, to then only give that exact guy a title shot. It's just really weird. It's like us waiting an entire year to give Obafemi his title match for winning the King of the Ring. Of course, we're happy that he's gonna get it, but really, like this? It's not that good. Now look, I'm sure some viewers are genuinely happy for LA Knight, but can somebody really confidently argue in LA Knight's sake that he is even booked slightly like a legitimate contender that could threaten Roman Reigns, that could really go out there and beat Roman Reigns and become a champion? To me, this doesn't really feel like a title shot given to LA Knight. This feels like a title match opportunity given to LA Knight so that fans can stop moaning and complaining about it. And we're only doing that because now we're in this little dry period between August up until December or January. And so we're going to give all these lesser people a shot at the gold, but not really have them win, so that by the time the Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania picks up, these lackeys could all go back in line and just stop moaning because they got their opportunity and failed. To make matters even worse, how did LA Knight even earn the title shot? In that promo, Roman Reigns literally tells him to go back in line because LA Knight didn't earn it. And let's say LA Knight goes to the back of the line. Who is at the front? Obafemi? So what are you trying to do? You're picking LA Knight and you're not picking Obafemi? Like, it's just this whole game of just wandering around the actual topic, wandering around the actual contenders that just really sickens me with Roman Reigns. For far too long has this been going on. Now he's gonna have a little feud with LA Knight, and then we're closing on Survivor Series, which means War Games, which means a non-canon match. It's a gimmick match, which means we can waste more time and we can go into the new year, walk into the Royal Rumble, and boom, before you know it, we're on the road to WrestleMania. And hey, maybe Obafemi has to go out there and win the Rumble to get his title shot. Wow, such great adversity he has to face. So in my mind, I am basically done with the year of 2026. I think we can all just wrap up this entire year and wait for the Royal Rumble to happen, where we're either going to have Obafemi win the Rumble or we're going to have Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble, which will obviously have the fans exhausted by this freaking drama between Roman and Cody, where they're just having avoiding one another. A lot of us are not going to want to see that match even take place, so we're going to get to a point where we're going to naturally boo Cody Rhodes, and this might be a great way to turn him heel. But when we do turn him heel, this will automatically indicate that he is going to lose, right? Because no heel is ever booked strong unless your name is The Rock's cousin. And if that is the case, then I don't want to see that match, right? The real stakes are if both Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes are babyface. That is what makes that match unpredictable, and unpredictability is what makes it good. As long as a match is not unpredictable, it is not interesting. And so if that is the case, I don't want it. And if that is the case, please bring back The Rock, and please give us Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 43. I know The Rock is getting older, and this literally might be his retirement match, and I'm sad to even say that. And even if it is his retirement match, let's just go out there and have The Rock go out there and lose. But if that is the best that we can do, let us have that, because I will be happy with that. At least the build up to that WrestleMania will be epic. And if The Rock is going to retire at the hands of Roman Reigns, then so be it. Another freaking legend has to lose and retire against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And hey, what is another legend added to the collection and the long, illustrious, amazing career of Roman Reigns? Thank you all for watching this video. I know it was a handful, but there was a lot of stuff that I was sickened by, especially the way that the current WWE programming is. A lot of people seem to be happy that Roman Reigns is champion again, but there is nothing to be happy about. Everything is at a stalemate, and I hope that we can soon continue on with real canon plot lines, because all of this spin-off bullcrap is ruining my love for the business, and it really ruins any real incentive for us to sit down and watch week to week, and that is not the way it was supposed to be. We're supposed to be watching week to week and enjoying Raw and SmackDown. So hopefully we can get to that point. Hopefully Roman Reigns can settle the score with Cody Rhodes, win, lose or draw, I don't care. Then move on with The Rock, and then move on and focus onto the future and building future stars, because the future is exactly what we need to build. I have been the heels advocate with the heel reboot. Give me a heel, yeah, in the comment section down below. And it seems the heels advocate had to make this video.